Really, it is happy.
Yeah.
Like it.
I hope things will be normal now.
I think probably another 2 months, I think it should be all right.
Yep.
Yeah, provided we don't get a third wave, I guess.
We don't look at third wave. If we look at a third wave, then we will probably stationed at one place. So whenever it is coming, let it come. We'll see that.
Yeah.
Hi, good day. Morning.
Hi, good morning. Sheila,
Hello,
good morning.
hello, Mr. Kuti. Yes.
Salila, sir. Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
After a long time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kuti, sir.
Rubin sir, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Kuti.
Morning, sir.
Jeremy, good morning.
Abhi ma'am? Are you there?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
With your permission, let's start the program of the day. It's right time, 10:30.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nisha's just messaged she'll be joining now. She's just
Good.
some internet issue. She's joining. She's just joining. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Shall we begin?
Jairamji and Dr. Vinay.
Yeah. We shall.
Yes, let's start.
A pleasant good morning to one and all. Today, we have gathered here for the inauguration of the Young Communicators Club in collaboration with St. Mary's College and Public Relations Council of India. Here, we are blessed with the presence of Sister Andrea, Mother Provincial of CMC Congregation. By seeking her blessings, let us start our program. Young Communicators Club is a student and young wing of Public Relations Council of India. This platform provides an opportunity to the students of journalism, mass communication, and business management to learn the ropes of industry and get industry really after interacting with eminent media personalities and business leaders, entrepreneurs, through a series of workshops, seminars, webinars, contests, creative events, and festivals. Public Relations Council of India, a pan-India communication exchange forum with its presence in 38 Indian cities and towns. It has 14 chapters all over India. The premier work connects PR media, journalists, commercial and public service, HR events, education, advertising, marketing, academia in communication and journalism. Without much delay, let us start our event by offering prayers to the Almighty. I call upon K. Aishwarya Das from English Department to lead us to the prayer.
നന്മയാകുന്ന കാന്തി കാണുവാൻ കണ്ണിനാകേണമേ നല്ല വാക്കിൻ വിനാകേണമേ സ്നേഹമാകുന്ന ഗീതമോ എന്റെ കാതിനിണയാകണേ സത്യമെന്നുള്ള ശീലമോടെ ഞാൻ ശാന്തിയറിയണമേ. ആ
Thank you. Pandemic has altered our lives. Classes are now confined to electronic devices, and I know that still many of you have a vague idea about our meritorious institution. Situated in the heart of flourishing business town of Thrissur and established and managed by CMC Educational Society in the year 1946, St. Mary's College is the first women's college of Thrissur and is celebrating her platinum jubilee. Our college constantly strives towards excellence in every realm, though we are separated by long distances. Now, let us together take a virtual tour through our college.
admit ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യാൻ സാറിനെ അഡ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം ഇത് കളയുന്നു സാർ അഡ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ ട്രൈ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട് അത് ഓഫ്
Ramsey Menon is the co-founder of Kerala's first professional event management and wedding planning company in Pretario in 1995. He is the resource person to Management and Mass Communication Educational Institute and knowledge specialist in syllabus updating in educational institutions. He is the director of Young Communicators Club and Public Relations Council of India. Sir, I invite you for a welcome address.
Thank you. Honorable Chief President, Honorable Member of Parliament,
അഡ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട് സാർ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട് സാർ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്
and Chief Member of PRCI, Dr. Sister Maggie Jose, Principal St. Mary's College, Thrissur, Mr. Sam Duraraj Rubin, Director, Governing Council, PRCI, Dr. T. Vinay Kumar, National President, PRCI, Mr. U.S. Kuti, Secretary General, PRCI, Ms. Srimadi Praveen, National Head, YCC, our keynote speakers of the day, Ms. Nisha Ketan and Ms. Salila, Dr. Bindu Philip, the HOD of English Department, St. Mary's College, Faculty Coordinator for YCC, Ms. Abhini, the teachers of St. Mary's College, Thrissur, students of St. Mary's College, Thrissur, and the invitees to this YCC launching, all the top officials of Public Relations Council of India, the principals of YCC chapters in Kerala, YCC members, and ladies and gentlemen. This is the 11th Young Communicators Club in Kerala, and PRCI is honored to have a chapter in St. Mary's College, Thrissur, the college which is established in the 1946, just before an year of Indian independence. So the lot of history with this college, and PRCI is happy and honored to have a YCC chapter in this college. And PRCI, the largest fraternity of public relations professionals as well as communication professionals in the country, with 40 chapters pan-India, is actually the first phase of the YCCs of actually started, which is in way back in March in with Sacred Heart College Ernakulam, and now we have reached up to Thrissur with almost pan Kerala presence. And without much delay, I get to my duty of welcoming. Sri John Bittas doesn't need any introduction because he is a member of parliament as well as the chairman of, managing director of Kairali TV, and someone who has been has excellent public relation skills, and who has understood and influenced many with his people skills. Somebody who is always believed in the power and positivity of public relations, and he has carried that in his day-to-day transactions with people and institutions. Mr. John Bittas, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this occasion of YCC opening in St. Mary's College, Thrissur. Mr. MP Jairam, the founder of PRCI, the heart and soul of PRCI, who's been always encouraging on the YCC movement. and he's here to grace this occasion. Mr. Jairam, I give you a warm welcome to this opening of YCC. Dr. Sister Maggie Jose, Principal of St. Mary's College, I've always been encouraging for all these new initiatives which will benefit the students. Reverend Sister, I welcome you to this opening of YCC in your college. I also acknowledge the gracious presence of Sister Anija, Provincial of CMC, and we started this function with her blessings. Thank you, Sister, for joining us. And Dr. T. Vinay Kumar.
Thank you.
Dr. T. Vinay Kumar, who is the national president, a man who is leading from the front the PRCA movement, and who's actually encouraging all of us, not only the Kerala YCCs, but YCCs all over the country. Dr. Vinay, a warm welcome to you to this function. Mr. Sam Duraraj Rubin, the founder, national president of PRCI, and a great motivator of all of us, someone who has believed and followed up the skills and talents of an individual. Mr. Rubin, we are very glad that you are actually gracing this occasion, and we are all honored to have you because you're the first time you are attending a Kerala function of either PRCA or the Young Communicators Club. Mr. Rubin, heartily welcome to you. Heartily welcome to you this occasion. Mr. U.S. Kuti, who is the Secretary General of Kerala, rather National Secretary General of PRCI, who is from Kerala, has always been a man with action. And Mr. Kuti, a warm welcome to you. And of course, the young and radiant person who is actually leading the YCC movement in all over the country, and she is Srimadi Praveen. Chinmayi, Ms. Chinmayi, please, thank you for honoring this occasion, and please welcome to this particular function of YCC opening. And also,
thank you, sir.
I welcome our keynote speakers of the day, Mr. Nisha Ketan and Salila Kapan, two renowned PR professionals in the country who have actually the women power of public relations in this country. And also, even though the host of the occasion, but it's my duty to welcome Dr. Bindu Philip, who is actually the HOD of English Department of St. Mary's College, and also acknowledge the presence of our faculty coordinator, the most important person of YCC is concerned in St. Mary's College, Ms. Abhini. And I welcome all the dignitaries here and all the PRCA professionals, principals of various YCC colleges, members of various YCCs in Kerala, and special invitees. A warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I'm profusely elated to introduce our chief guest, a prominent figure among Indian journalists and managing director of Kairali TV. John Brittas is a name familiar for Keralites. He was also a former business head of Asianet Communication and was recently elected to Rajya Sabha. We are honored by his presence. With immense pleasure, I request John Brittas, sir, to formally inaugurate our session.
Thank you very much. At present, I am in Delhi, and I really didn't know whether I could be in a position to attend this conference because I have a parliamentary committee meeting scheduled. But the PRCI collaborated Young Communication Club coordinator Abhini was persisting, and naturally I had to bow my head before the perseverance and resilience of your communicator. And that is an example for the communication, the strategy of the communication. And I have one more reason to join this conference, because I know a couple of those people who are participating in this conference. And moreover, I have a connection with Thrissur. I would say two connections with Thrissur. I had my schooling in Thrissur, in Don Bosco School. And thereafter, I had my college in Kerala. At that time, St. Mary's used to be an agenda naturally in the minds of people like us, for reasons well known to Mr. Ram. Now, and there is a second reason that is supposed to be more dominant reason. That's a domestic reason, because I have married from Thrissur. So you know what could be the pervasive influence of your partner in your life. So these are all public relation elements which pull somebody to a conference. And I think I need to mention about those people who are participating in this conference. Naturally, Ram had been very kind to me by saying a lot of good things about me. The college principal, Dr. Sister Maggie Jose, Provincial CMC, Sister Anija, then PRCI head Jairam. Then I am seeing Vinay here, then Mr. Rubin, then somebody was talking about the head of the department. I think it's Professor Bindu. If I have spelled the name wrongly, please bear with me. And so many other people who are participating in this seminar. Honestly speaking, I was not that much aware about the young communication clubs in colleges. But I did a little bit of homework by interacting, or my secretary spoke to Abhi for the introduction. Am I audible to you all? Am I audible
Yes.
to you all? All right.
Yes.
So I understand that PRCI is earnestly collaborating with the colleges to form young communication clubs. And in this world, or the emerging world, we can't think of anything without PR. We can't think anything without PR. PR is very pertinent. Even you need to have a little bit of PR in surviving at your homes. Honestly, Ram and Reuben and
Yes.
Jairam and Vinay would be endorsing my view. Without a little bit of PR, you are unable to survive even in your domestic front. And think about surviving in your professional world, social world, political world, corporate world without PR. Comes into form. I have been part of a little bit of PR. I don't want to divulge those things, but still I can say that there have been numerous campaigns where I also participated, and we could coin certain things which could strike the heart and soul of the people. And from a journalist perspective, naturally, I think this young communication club is a club to groom the youngsters to be in tune with the world of communication. Naturally, journalism is one area of communication. I recollect, I've been churning out a lot of materials regarding PR. What are the tactics being used by the PR firms? Many of these people who are attending this conference would be very inept with the PR, I would say the cardinal points of PR. I was looking at one of the very interesting campaigns that was in Europe. I don't know whether Ram would be knowing about it. At a point of time, the Europe banned smoking in trains. See, a few years back, people could smoke anywhere. And our film theaters, you would see it was a smoky theater. Now for television, we are producing artificial smoke. But at that time, we didn't want to have any smoke. All our public space was filled with smoke. So Europe took the lead and banned smoking. And the PR exercise for spreading the word that you are not supposed to smoke in the train was taken up by none other than the biggest tobacco company in Europe, that is Abdullah Cigarettes. It's the funniest part. Abdullah Cigarette, which is a very powerful brand, that is cigarette company in Europe, took up the responsibility of doing PR on non-smoking in trains. You know what they do? In all their trains, they had stuck boards saying that no smoking. Then they said, no smoking, not even Abdullah. That means you should not even smoke Abdullah cigarette. So this is the way in which the PR world flourishes and survives. Now, we all talk about communication, importance of communication. I remember that in my inverter comma younger days. Why I'm putting inverter comma is that I'm still young. So that's why
Correct.
Relatively. I can see a lot of youngsters here, honestly. In my younger days, we were being prodded by our teachers that you need to have communication. You need to communicate with people. If you are not communicating, if you are mute, you are going to be out of the circuit. You are going to be out of the loop. At that time, we didn't have any young communication club. But the importance of communication was recognized by professional groups like PRCI and colleges. And that's why some young communication groups have been formed now. But even at that time, we have been prodded, induced, instigated, provoked to communicate. If you're not a communicable, if you don't have the communicative skill, you will not be in a position to achieve anything. That was the slogan at that time. But now communication per se is not enough. You need to have a strategy in the communication. If you're simply blabbering, you can be called you're communicating. But that society doesn't require communication because now we are all in the midst of cacophony. So much of cacophony, so much of noise, voice, sound, audio. You are in the midst of cacophony. So now we have shifted the goalpost and we are saying communication per se is not enough. You need to have a strategy in your communication. And I think the Young Communication Club and PRCI should concentrate on the strategy of communication. Why do you need to communicate? Even silence is one of the biggest form of communication. Ram, I am sure about the fact that in your younger days, you would have communicated with your heartthrobs with so much of silence rather than with so much of vocabulary and words. Am I correct?
Yes.
I know even now you do that, but still I need to emphasize on those days. So the importance is of strategy of communication. Because we have so much of communication around, we have so much of information around. We are literally getting plunged in the whirlpool of information. We are literally being surrounded by the cacophony of communication, and we are unable to decipher our way ahead. That is the biggest issue which we are confronting now. Earlier, the only way of communication, the only way of imbibing information could be a radio, could be a television, could be a piece of newspaper. Now your handheld instrument, it's like a printing press, it's like a television, it's like a video camera. The whole world has converged. There is something called convergence that is happening. Whole world is converging at a point. We are carrying huge printing press. We are carrying huge television studios. We are carrying everything in our hand in a small instrument called mobile phone. And you are in a position to get everything in this world because you have a mobile device. What is that you don't get You get everything. You get travel tickets, you get cinema tickets, you get everything, you get food, you get everything, you get a lot of girlfriends, Ram, you get a lot of boyfriends. Minus your parents, the communication device which you hold in your hand can get you everything. It simply means that we have tons of communication. We have huge pile of communication. We have huge, I would say, lot of cacophony around us. And I would earnestly wish that the Young Communication Club of St.Mary's College, which is supposed to be the oldest college, which Ram was saying that, which was formed in 1946, even before the independence. So this Young Communication Club should lead the way of forming the club of strategic communication. Strategic communication. Now, coming to the era of journalism, I was just going through the cardinal points or the objectives of this YCC, and one of the points which was doled out to me was that it is to nurture, nourish the youngsters to develop critical approach to news. Very good. Absolutely, I salute that. Critical approach to news, critical approach to communication, and the challenges of women in media and how to overcome it. I salute it. And updating ourselves, I really feel that this is what exactly I meant by strategy of communication. And when you come to the field of journalism, I would submit that you have so much of news and views around. The biggest struggle a common man has to conduct on a day-to-day basis is to decipher truth. Decipher truth from the tons of materials that is provided to you. Now, I would submit that the definitions that were prevalent in the area of journalism has disappeared, or rather it has been de-refined, or rather it has been reinvented. Why? I would tell you that. Some older people in this group may recollect the stereotype that has been depicted in the movies in Kerala. If you watch a movie in Kerala, I mean, which is as old as 20 years, you would always see a journalist in that. A journalist used to wear a shabby dress. I am wearing a very clean dress now today. And he would have a big beard, which is a very unruly beard. And he will have beedi in hand, and he will have a dairy in your habit. And he would be a chela of somebody. He would be a chela of somebody. And this used to be the typical depiction of a journalist 20 or 25 years before in Kerala movies. Now you see film star like journalists around you. They're all, in absolute impeccable costume and style and grandeur. So even I would say the perspective of a journalist has changed. And second thing, when I used to be a journalist student, we all learned about the art of writing news. But now, is there a definition for news? No, absolutely no. There's no definition for news. What is news? The news for Ram would be entirely different from news for Mr. Rubin or Mr. Vinay or Mr. Jera. So I am unable to find a definition for news. What is news? And I struggled to give a definition of news, and I was participating in a seminar, and I said, for me, the television news means nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. Anything that attracts your eyeball is a television news. Anything that attracts your eyeball is a television news. There was a definition given to decisively determine what is news and what is not a news. At that time, we were taught that suppose a dog bites a man, it's not a news. But if a man bites a dog, it's a news. That was a typical analogy which was given to us by the journalism teachers. Now think about the fact, in front of Secretariat or in front of Indira Bhavan, if a dog bites Ramesh Chennathila, people will say that K. Sudhakaran sent this dog. That would be a breaking news in the television channels. So even very mundane aspects which happen around us can be a breaking news, can be a big news nowadays. So there is no clear-cut definition for what is called news now. And the third thing, what is media? I am unable to get a definition here. What is media? As I told you in the beginning, the instrument which we hold in our hand is the biggest media device which has been invented, found in the world. Found in the world. Nobody can beat this. Nobody can beat this. A WhatsApp message can create rattles in the administrative sector. It can shake up your government. A professional journalist would be writing a series of columns in a newspaper, but not even a dog will be looking at it. But an ordinary student from St.Mary's College would be triggering a WhatsApp message which she picked up from somewhere, and this would go viral. Nowadays, we have only two things. One is viral and second is virus. Both are viral. So the potential of a news beat or a media beat is as harmful as a virus now. So there is no hard and fast rule. What is a media? What is it? And third thing, what is a journalist? What is a news? All these things have lost the definitions now. We are living in an era when the so-called journalism has lost its so-called definitions. So my earnest, I would say, appeal to the very respectable dignitaries here and the students here. It's a struggle to find your way out of this mess. There is a mess that is around. In that, I would certainly say that clubs like Young Communication Clubs, which are guided by PRCI, very efficient hands who are in the field of public relations, would be in a position to guide the young students to understand what they need to imbibe and what they need to discard. And I would also say that communication, PR and media being part of the society and very important vertical. Those people who are aspiring to be somebody in the profession need to get attracted to this profession, because this is like influence in the society. You are all going to be influencers. See, a bank manager would be a job of, I would say, million or lakhs worth. But I would say a public influencer, a communicator, a journalist, a PR guy, a PR professional would be having much more radius of influence. And that's the reality. So in a society when PR, communication, everything is becoming more relevant and more needy, I would compliment the efforts of PRCI to spread their tentacles to the youngsters, to the colleges, to find brilliant youngsters to come up and to join this profession of PR, media and communication. And I know there are many people who are in the queue to speak and deliver their addresses to the thirsty youngsters. And I would conclude my words by saying that let this be a fruitful exercise. Let St. Mary's Young Communication Club, along with PRCI, create an impact. And that would help those youngsters to find their way and also to enrich the field of journalism, communication, and PR. Thank you very much for inviting me to this very important session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your words. It was really enlightening and informative. M.B. Jairam is the founder, Chairman Emeritus and Chief Mentor of both PRCI and YCC. He was the Director of Corporate Communication of Karnataka Power Corporation and also served as the press advisor of S.M. Krishna, the then CM of Karnataka. Vijayram is a veteran in PR communication and presently he is the PR advisor of NTPC. It is a privilege to have you with us and we would be pleased to hear from you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Dear John Rittles, the MP and head of Kairali TV, and Dr. Sister Maggie Jones, Sister Anija, Corporate Manager CMC, Dr. Vinay Kumar, the National President, and my dear friend who is my friend from the day one when we have started our PRCI in the month of April 2004. He was the national president. I was the governing council chairman at that time. And Bindu and Philip, the HOD, English, Srimadi Praveen, the head of YCC, Nisha Ketan and Salila Kappan. She is also one of my old friend. She was the head of Secretary PRCI Bangalore chapter a long back. And there are so many people from other places, Mr. JJ from Rourkela, Mr. Ramchandra Menon of Palakkad, and name many. There are a lot of people from our other chapters. I'm really happy to see you all here today in this particular vicinity. And I'm sure that I'm happy to formally inaugurate this YCC St.Mary's College at Thrissur. And Thrissur is very familiar to me because I had a friend, of course, he is no more. I am also from a border of Kerala. I am from Sulya, where our Sadananda Gado is the present minister at the central government. We were classmates. We came from the place called Sulya. It is very near to the Kasaragod, the Kerala border and all that. And we used to have a lot of rubber plants. I used to have one friend of mine, is the manager of that one, Mr. T. John and Annie John. They were from Thrissur. I used to go to their house regularly, one of the fantastic places I used to like. And also, when I was the national president of PRSI, I happened to start a chapter at Thrissur. Of course, it may not be there. I'm talking about 27 years plus back. That's how I have some relation with Thrissur. I'm very happy that I'm going to speak to all our old, I'm recollecting all our old memory. Dear Mr. John Brito, yeah, you said it rightly. One of the greatest, PR, real PR things. You were mentioning about Abdullah cigarettes. It is really fantastic because how they get the publicity, even after urging people not to smoke in railway. This thing that actually plays in their brain, and they will continue to do their smoking business may not be that place. Like that, when I was little young, about 20 years back, I used to get irritated by one ad of which company, Action 50, that tablets. The way they used to publish, put it every day, every moment, every minute. There used to be one capsule used to come in either TV or radio. Action to use Action 50. It was irritating so much. And I asked the Vicks representative. He said, we wanted it like that. And it will register in your mind. It may be irritating you. Like that. There are a lot of ways in communication that we should learn how to, maybe negative communication or all these things. I think you will tell me 1 year later, the communication, you are a new MP now, Upper House, and you will tell us when we call you for the next this thing, how you have to communicate with the people who are experienced politicians, that communication and your Kairali communication, TV communication, much different, of course. I'm really happy that a lot of examples you gave from the day one when you get up in the morning to night to sleep. You have to have a good lot of good communication. I was also telling our own people, if you don't talk to your sister or mother to a cup of coffee in a nice way, you will not get it. They may say you, if you want, you get it on your own. So your communication start with from your house. I agree with you totally. So, this is the reason we thought of starting a young communicators club. We started in 2013. Of course, we in PRCA, we were born on 3rd April 2004, just 17 years back. Me, Rubin, R.T. Kumar, and Mr. Neela Megam, all of us, nearly 11 members, we were discussing this about from 13 onwards. Then finally took a place, shape in 3rd April 2004. Our late Mr. Mehta of Outlook, the chief editor, he inaugurated in Bangalore as a headquarters. Now, I never thought that we will reach this high. We have 40 chapters in the country, across the country, and we have about 5 chapters actually, under WCC, World Communicators Council. One in Nepal, one in Sri Lanka, one in Dubai, and 2 in Bangladesh. Soon we are going to have one in Bhutan and Singapore, Australia, and Malaysia. This after the COVID problem is over, we are going to go there and start our World Communicator Council few chapters. This is what I wanted to tell you all. And what is the need of this? PRCA has begun a new journey now in the form of Young Communicators Club, the key area of educating and motivating the students. I consider this venture a platform for sharing the knowledge of our trainers, our experienced PR professionals who have served more than 30 plus years in various companies, various institutions, and with the YCC student, their it will be mutual benefit for all of us. I also earnestly urge the academia to join hands with PRCA chapter in all the states in the relevant geographies to initiate research and other form of activities, maybe extracurricular activities. Whatever you learn in your own vicinity, one of the good colleges, it will give you a certificate to enter any institution or companies. But the real practical knowledge they may lack. That's where we are coming in, and we try to help the youngsters. And now that YCC units spread in many states of the country, the aims and objectives are effectively and regularly communicate with the purpose and responsibility towards a better society and bring in accountability in leadership. This is what our goal in YCC. I'm sure that all your students will get some kind of training from our people. We have our own special training center. They will teach you. You may ask through our very young and energetic Mr. Ram Menon. If you go through him, we will definitely help you out in whatever you need. Good luck to all the students who are joined now to YCC. You will learn a lot from our people, especially seniors like Rubin and R.T. Kumar. They're all our trainers. You can call them anytime when required, and we are with you. Good luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. Now, I invite the pillar strength of St. Mary's College, our principal, Dr. Sister Maggie Juice, to address the gathering.
Respected MP and Managing Director of Kairali TV, Sri John Brittas, officials of PRCI and other dignitaries of this meet, keynote speakers of the day, our manager, Sister Anija, principals of YCC chapters of Kerala, my dear staff and very dear students. Public Relations Council of India, the largest fraternity of public relations and corporate communication professionals, is joining hands with our prestigious institution, St. Mary's College, Thrissur, today. I am happy that we witnessed this joyful event in this year, as St. Mary's is celebrating the 75th year of its establishment. Our Platinum Jubilee celebrations are going on, and we are truly honored to have this association with PRCI. As I came to know that PRCI has a national initiative called Young Communicators Club YCC as a part of Industry Institution Interactive to create awareness among college students on public relations and mass communications industry. I knew that it would help the students to have an exposure to the current competitive world outside. I am very happy to have a YCC platform in our college so that there is direct communication between our college and national team of PRCI. YCC is the youth wing of Public Relations Council of India, committed to organizing communication enhancement programs to make youth employment ready. It gives an opportunity to the students to learn the ropes of industry and get industry ready by interaction with eminent PR and communication personalities, business leaders, communication entrepreneurs, and academicians through a series of workshops, seminars, contests, creative events, and global conclave. Opportunities like this surely will help our students to understand the new trends in the field through listening and interacting with professionals. I thank the officials of PRCI for selecting our college. I thank our manager, Sister Anija, for her esteemed presence in this inaugural session of YCC in our college. I also thank HOD and staff members of English department, especially staff coordinator Srimadi Abhini and student coordinators Ms. Safna and Ms. Ria for their efforts to organize such an event. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sister. Thanks for your prayers and blessings. Sam Duraraj Rubin is an avid and successful advertising, public relation, and international trading entrepreneur for the past 30 years. He is determined to serve the non-profit sector and helps particularly the people with disabilities, marginalized women, and children. He was the founder, national president of PRCI. He later became the chairman of its governing council and was inducted into the Hall of Fame of PRCI in 2007. I request Rubin sir to enlighten us with his words.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Chief guest of this morning, Mr. John Brittas, Dr. Sister Margaret Mary, Principal of St. Mary's College at Thrissur, my illustrious colleagues from PRCI, Shri M.B. Jayaram, Chairman Emeritus, Shri Dr. Vinay Kumar, our National President, Shri U.S. Kuti, our Secretary General, National Executive, Ram Menon, who's the YCC Coordinator, Ms. Srimadi Praveen, National Head of YCC, our two illustrious keynote speakers for this morning, Salila Kappan, as well as Nisha Ketan, and my young friends, students of St. Mary's College, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed both an honor and privilege for me to be part of this August gathering, and I'm grateful to Mr. Vinay Kumar for inviting me for this very important occasion. I wish I could get into a time capsule and go down time by about 4 or 5 decades and then feel young again, like some of the young students who are here. But I think as people who are in the field of public relations, we are always young at heart, we are always young in mind, and so that keeps us going. This morning, I just want to very quickly, very briefly share 3 simple one-liners that are in my mind that has been very close to my heart. I think the first thing is, I think we need to not just be beware of the pandemic that is seen all over the world, but I think we need to be beware of the infodemic, which is today a greater virus, or a virus that mutates much faster than the existing COVID-19. And so it's this infodemic that you and I need to be seriously aware of. I think there is an excessive flow of unreliable and false information that spreads and mutates faster than the virus. So I think that's the first thing that you and I need to be aware of. And so as young communicators or as young students of communication or mass communication, you need to use your discernment and you need to be careful how you discern and how you use all this information that is at your disposal. The second thing is, I think you and I need to be very clear about what are our perspectives for the future. Everybody talks today of a new normal, but in my opinion, I don't believe that there is anything called a new normal. I believe every day is a new day, and every day evolves by itself. This whole world is evolving. There is always something that's called change. And so what is very essential is that you and I need to adapt to change. If there is something that's going to be constant in our lives, that is going to be change. And so how we accept this change and how we adapt and adopt to this change is going to be very vital in the era of communication. And the third, of course, the point that I want to leave with you young minds is a 3-letter word called ACT, A-C-T. And this is about your communication. You ought to ensure that your communication is authentic, your communication is consistent, and your communication is transparent. These are the 3 attributes that need to be verified in all communications that you read or you send or you are involved with or you strategize. I think, I believe that this is an appeal that I want to make to both your mind and your heart, that you will truly look at these 3 liners, and if you feel that these are useful to you in your life, you should adopt it and you should use it. I'm once again grateful to Vinay Kumar for giving this opportunity, and grateful to the Young Communicators Club for this privilege. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring and enriching words. Dr. T. Vinay Kumar has 4 decades of experience in PR and advertising. He is the Director of World Communicators Council and Vice President and Director of PRCI and YCC Governing Council. He is the first Malayali who became the National President of Public Relations Council of India. Sir, I welcome you to say a few words on this special occasion.
Thank you, Rabisha, for especially mentioning few words, because the time limit I know very well. All the senior faculty members of St. Mary's College, my colleagues in PR, I would like to just mention a few names now who are attending today's program. One is our senior national vice president, Mr. Ravindran K. Sumit Botra, our Chennai chapter chairman, is attending. Ramachandra Menon, our Palakkad chapter chairman, is attending. Frederick Michael, our director from Hyderabad, is attending. JJ from Rukala, Ramji has mentioned, he is attending. And few more others are there. I could find out only these people. And another very important person today who is attending today is Mr. Anthony John, the Bureau Chief of Malayalam Manoranma Kochi. So, and a lot of faculty members, faculty coordinators, and members of YCC are also attending today's program. Public Relations Council of India, with the motto of communicating for a better world, is cruising smoothly. Already we have, as mentioned earlier, the 40 chapters pan-India, from Agartala to Guwahati to Kochi. We are with a lot of activities. Some of them I'll just mention for your information. One thing is we are coming out of the publication division. We have already published a book for the journalism and communication students. One more book is getting ready, which will be released soon. We are having programs regularly, and one among them is the main program is the Global Communication Conclave. Our this 15th Global Communication Conclave is happening at Goa on September 17th and 18th. Every year we celebrate this communication conclave in a city of India. Last year it was at Bangalore, and a lot of deliberations, panel discussions, and this will take place during this conclave. And specialists and experts from India and abroad will be attending. So as a student of communication, you can also attend this year's program. Details will be disseminated by Ram to all of you. Another important program the YCC is, or the PRCI is having, is a division for internship and placement. Developing that unit, soon it will be functioning. You can have internship now. Getting internship for students of journalism and PR is very difficult now. Opportunities are very less. So we are connecting the industry with the students. We are giving a lot of opportunities in that field. It is getting ready. So we also have, as Jaramji has mentioned, we also have an expert pool. You can take people from the pool. The experts are from all parts of life in journalism and public relations and corporate communications. Are real experts, so many years of experience. So you can take them. You can request the concerned authorities. They'll give you the pool. They'll suggest you different speakers for your programs in the future. So that is another initiative of PRCI. As Jaramji has mentioned, PRCI is coming out with a lot of WCC chapters, World Communicators Council chapters all over the world. So it is going to be from pan-India to pan-world. So on this occasion of St. Mary's YCC starting, because as many people, especially this John Buttas, he was giving a very good speech. He hasn't mentioned about the PR exercises he did for the LDF government. The first campaign of LDF government 10 years back, LDF for Ellam Shiriyavu. That was his brainchild. And the present one, the latest one, Urappan LDF, that also was coined by, actually the idea behind it was John Buttas. I know very well about all those things. That is why I'm mentioning all those things. He's our keynote artist this year, the main speaker or the chief guest of this program was excellent and exceptional. And the right person to have on this occasion. I would like
kindly invite him for our global meet.
Yeah, sir, we will definitely. And another thing I would like to share to the students of St. Mary's College and the faculty is that I am born at Thrissur. I'm from Thrissur only. I was born at Kanimangalam, a small village near Thrissur, Puttunderi. So I have a lot of attachment and affinity to Thrissur. I find it a great opportunity to be with all of you Thrissurians today. I would like to wish the newborn YCC, the president, the members, office bearers, everyone, and the faculty coordinators of St. Mary's College, all the best in their future endeavors, and also jubilee wishes, special jubilee wishes also. So wish you best of luck we will have a lot of programs in Thrissur, St. Mary's College in the future. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Nisha Ketan is the founder of Cubic Communication, and Cubic focuses largely on fintech sector and startups. She has over 18 years of experience in the field of public relations and worked with corporate communication teams of ICICI Bank, Rabobank, Intercap, and DSP Maryland. And Salila Kapan had started Red Communication in 2006 and was with Perfect Relations before it. She has worked for over 19 years of experience in this industry and has worked with companies across such as lifestyle, pharma, real estate, and NGOs. It's my privilege to invite the woman powers, Ms. Nisha Ketan and Ms. Salila Kapan, for the keynote address.
Hello, everyone. Our presentation is largely for the students. I would like to thank PRCI for giving us the opportunity to speak and share our experience and learnings from the young students, because I think we have, both Salila and I have really worked hard to be where we are, and we feel that the students we could help the students learn a little bit about the do's and don'ts of this industry. So I would encourage all of you to, we have kept our presentation fairly small. We would love to hear more questions from you, and if you can ask us more questions, any doubts that you have about joining the company, about coming to a town which is not your hometown, and learn, maybe learn something from our experience. I will be presenting, I will just start the presentation, so just give me a second. So as all of you can see, one of the first things that we would like to tell you is that for any profession, whether it's PR or whether it's any other sector that you decide to go in, what you have to remember is that it's your hard work and it's your attitude towards the work that actually leads to the success, and being a woman or can never be a hindrance. When we started, I think we are, all of you are at a much better stage, because I think there is a lot more awareness, there's a lot more openness in the society also as far as women working is concerned. When we started 20 years back, it was much tougher, but it never came in our way, frankly. So so remember that is just your hard work and it's your perseverance that is going to make it through. During the presentation, what we are really going to I'm not able to change my slide. Just give me a second. Salila, can you present from your end? I think there seems to be some technical error.
1 second.
So I'll stop sharing and maybe you can. So while she's presenting, what we are really going to talk about today is we are going to take you through a little bit on what are you expected to do as a PR professional, and what are some of the some of the reasons why the PR industry is going to expand much further, as is proven by the industry data, as well as from from our experience. We are of course going to touch upon some of the upper hand that being a woman has when you join an industry like thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're able to see now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Right.
So so we are going to talk about the strengths that we inherently have as women, and at the same time some of the challenges that you will have to be ready to face when you get into the professional world. We also have a few examples which we feel of mentors and senior people in the industry who are great examples to learn from, the good and the bad of it. Very quickly, you have already heard about us, but Salila has been running her own agency for 16 years in Bangalore, and she was part of Perfect Relations. And very soon she realized that she needed to break out of the mold and do the work in her own way. And she's always maintained a small team. But today, if you ask any journalist or any PR group for a conference, I think the first name that usually comes up is Salila. So there's a lot to learn from her on how to navigate various challenges. So that's Salila for you. Salila, can you go to the first slide, which is?
Yeah, I am. I'm just.
Thanks.
Right.
So before we get on to what do you do in the PR, the good news is that the industry is definitely really growing, and of course with support groups like PRCI, I think you are in the right place at the right time. If as you can see on the screen, the industry is likely to be at a range of 129 billion USD in 2025, and this is after the impact of COVID. So this is not something that that is going to reduce because of COVID. It's only going to increase. And of course, the fact that there are 65% of the employees in the sector are women. Now, while it doesn't, like we had started, right, it doesn't matter about the gender, it's about your hard work. But of course, if you have lesser barriers in a sector, it definitely helps. Would somebody like one of the students like to take a shot on what do you do when you join a PR agency, or what is your key responsibility as a PR professional? You could type in I'll give you a minute if you can type in your comment or raise your hand and answer.
The chat option is on?
Our chat option is on. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think. Students? Anybody?
So if you look at the definition of PR, sorry, is somebody answering?
Not audible.
Okay, so if you look at the definition of public relations, and yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I guess that it's about how a company can effectively communicate with the public. So we are creating a link between the company as well as the public. I guess so.
No, you're absolutely right.
Thank you.
That is the definition that you follow. However, I would, just from there, I would like to take you one step further and say that as a PR professional, you also have a strategic role, and the communication points that you rightly said has to be communicated to the public, has to be decided by you at a senior level. Because many a times what happens is that each department, like a marketing department or a product department, is probably not able to understand from a larger perspective. They think linearly, and you as a professional need to expand their viewpoint and include the whole host of other influences rather than just looking at one side of the company. Also, when you define public, one of the common misconceptions that we have faced is that public relations is only about talking to the journalist, and it's only about trying to get a story published in one of the through a journalist. Now, it is an important part of the overall work schedule that you would do, but very like Mr. John had said that these days anything and everything that you say or do becomes public relations, becomes like a information gathering medium. So all the communication that you plan and do, you have to think of it from the key stakeholders of the company, like we say. So journalists will be one. Investors, especially in today's world when the unicorns, the new companies are constantly trying to raise money. Investors, of course, your end customers, and also it could be the internal staff that you are addressing. So in a company like Uber, for example, apart from the investors, the driver community and communicating your key points to the drivers also becomes an extremely important point. I missed talking about the government. So all the fintech companies, all the companies that are dealing with even in a place like Uber, the regulatory and the government becomes a very, very critical rather, because the government can change one rule and the Uber will probably shut shop and go back. So as a communication expert, you have to be very, very careful about what you're doing and derive specific messages for specific audiences. Like you can see in this example, in the first one, in which talks about supporting community. If you look at the words, it clearly says that even though the world is upside down, what we are trying to do is support the government in its effort. Now, if you ask me, Uber didn't really need to do this because there was the very strict rules and they couldn't have done anything. But it's sending a message to the government that I'm not a foreign company. I'm going to follow rules and I'm going to be helping you in whichever way possible. Similarly, if you look at the left-hand side first news, which is Uber India based engineering team leads third-party cab booking in the UK. Now, that it in itself will not make a news story in, let's say, in Economic Times, but by using it in a blog, what they have done really is highlighted two aspects. One, that the Uber India team has a very strong technology team and therefore attracts other technology experts, potential employees from joining. And at the same time, it shows growth because you are not just limited to India, but you are expanding to a global market. So as a PR professional, remember that it's not just it's your responsibility to really keep looking at various aspects, keep looking at the multiple ways and things that you can talk about a company, and that's what makes PR exciting for me. So and Salila, next,
yeah.
So now, just wanted to kind of touch upon a little bit about what is the growth that we really see, and like Mr. John was talking about, that today it is impossible to say what will become news and who will become the leader in making something viral, and therefore the job of a communication person is much tougher today than what it was a few years back. However, there are good things about it also. If I look at the growth, where is the growth coming from? Now, if you look around in the last 10 years, every year, not just in India, but all across the world, there are unicorns that are coming. There are new startups that are coming. I mean, just even during the pandemic last year, there were 1,600 companies that were registered just in India. So that's literally, on an average of 4 companies each day. That's quite a bit, considering that people would probably had limited resources, were more careful during the pandemic about losing their cushy jobs, and even then it's a huge number, and all of these people, of course, will need to build an image, will need to stand out from the others, and will require PR professionals. At the same time, when again going back to 20 years back, when we had just started, there used to be, when the media was limited to 2 to 3 financial papers, 2 to 3 wire agencies, and a handful of regional publications. So your work was very limiting. Your work was quite well defined. So if there was a press release, you knew what has to be done, and it was like one box that you have to fill. Today, it has exploded into blogs, into websites such as Your Story, and every publications, even like an Economic Times, has multiple verticals, and there is no end to the kind of information that they require. Somebody requires HR, somebody requires law. So it's so for a company to really not have a person who's constantly looking at the needs of the media, that means they would ultimately lose out. Because somebody, there are 5 companies with similar profiles. Obviously, the company that talks about it more will be more recognized by the outside world. So it has become very important for everyone to really focus on communication far more strategically, and it's only going to grow. Like I said, that the content, the kind of content is also increasing. So, I mean, from a social samosa to an Economic Times, which still follows a very, very traditional system. A PR person or a communication person always have to be on the top of the game to really deal with the media. So, would anybody would like to ask a question? Any of you students of anything that you think differently or would like to clarify?
I think Zoom is better than.
Robinji, please mute your mic. Robinji.
So I think Salila, I would request Salila to take you through some of the the women specific from the topic that was there for the presentation, which was how do the trends for women in the sector. So Salila.
Yeah, thanks, Nisha, and thanks for giving me that flowery acknowledgement as well. Respected seniors, PR professionals, and dear students, thanks to Ram and Kuti for giving us this opportunity as well to be part of this event. As Nisha had mentioned, as we are going through this presentation, you please feel free to ask any questions, or if you want to, put your comment in the chat box, please feel free. Else, maybe, at the end of the presentation, we can have an interactive session for 5 minutes or, as the time allows as such. So before we get on to the talk, let me also introduce my partner. Of course, you have heard about Nisha, but we've been working together on a couple of clients from the last 4 to 5 years as such. So not because she's a friend and a business partner, but I would like to say that she's one of the finest communication professionals that I have personally seen. Unlike most of us who probably try to understand the client business from a very from the perspective of probably pitching only to the media as such, she tries to understand the dynamics of the client very deeply as such. Also, she's a Sena voice amongst the two of us, which helps balancing the relationship with our clients. So let's move on to the topic for today. So before we get on to what are the challenges for women in PR, I would like to highlight the positives, right? That's basically the strengths that makes women so well suited for this industry. Whether you are in a corporate communications role or probably in an agency kind of role. According to me, the PR industry or let's say the communications industry in general, whether it is media, whether it is journalism, whether it's advertising or whatever it is, it's a women-friendly industry as such. The learning is immense. There are loads of opportunities. And if you have the right attitude, by that I mean hard work, persistence, learning and performing consistently, nothing is going to stop you from reaching the top. But the key word is, having the right attitude as such. So as Nisha had pointed out earlier in the slide, women make up about 65% of public relations specialists. This is worldwide data, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data, and probably 59% of all PR managers. So it also becomes imperative not only to understand the strengths, but also to understand what attracts women to this industry before we get on to the challenges, that is. So the first point I come to, some of our innate strengths as a woman actually comes very handy, especially in the communications industry, as it's a very people-centric career. Our ability as a woman to connect with people across age groups is probably one of the key strengths that makes us adaptable to this role. One of the things that I had read about is that we have a people pleaser gene that probably attracts and makes it easier for us to excel in the PR environment. This comes very handy, especially when you're dealing with difficult clients or media as such. The next point that we come across is emotional intelligence, or what is probably known as emotional quotient. So this is another trait that helps women have a slight edge over men, and which plays a very important role in the communications industry. Our ability to listen, probably understand and manage situations, manage emotions, the empathy, sensitivity. These are all very critical, and this comes probably naturally to women. So this is one key strength that I, consider suits us best for this industry. Another strength that needs to be highlighted is our ability to multitask, which is also essential. Women is, in our personal lives, we are known for taking on multiple roles, whether it's a mother, daughter, wife, sister, etc. And this has probably sharpened our multitasking ability. If you're working in an agency, especially, I have worked in an agency for about 6.5 years, things can get very, very crazy as such. You might end up doing multiple tasks for different clients at the same time. Comparatively, men tend to be a little more singularly focused as such. So if I have to give you an example, maybe, at a press conference or a product launch that we might end up doing, there are multiple things that needs to be taken care. You might have a team in charge, but if you are responsible for the client, you will need to ensure that each of the areas are covered and is being managed, whether it's, the marketing and branding collaterals are in place, whether the press kits are in place, whether the media has been picked up. I know the Kerala media very well. Each of them expects to be picked up from multiple locations to the press conference. There's a lot of logistics that has to be managed. You need to make sure that the photographer is there. And you also need to manage the client. You need to make sure that he is briefed and, he knows the flow of the press conference. So all these are the multiple things happening. So your multitasking ability definitely helps here. There also may be times when you'll have to handle more than one event in a day, and it can get crazy, but believe me, it's, the euphoria that comes after that, when everything goes well, then you know that you've done a great job. And, after saying all these great things about women, to make the men more comfortable here, I should say that studies might have shown that women's brains are, two halves are interconnected, but there's no particular research that supports this as such. Another key strength that I think we women have is the collaborative or the team spirit. This probably can't be generalized, but studies have shown that women tend to collaborate more and prefer to work on teams, whereas men usually do better in competitive environments and prefer to fly solo. Another not the last point, but another key strength is patience. Something you need to have tons and tons if you are in the PR industry. I don't think it is gender specific, but I think women probably, deal with it slightly more better. This is by personal experience that I've seen in my offices earlier. Whether you're dealing with a client or with media, or even if you're an entrepreneur, setting out on your own, you need to have deal with so many vendors, and apart from the media and the clients. There are times when you might need to have extreme patience with journalists when you've pitch for a story and you're waiting to hear from them, and the client is pushing you to, we need the story tomorrow kind of thing. I'm not scaring anybody about all this. These are things that happens, but these are things that we can also get away with. There are times also we'll need to patiently make clients understand the importance of, what works and what doesn't. So a lot of patience comes handy in such situations. Also very important is while you're handling crisis situations, which will definitely, come if you're handling a sensitive client as such. So you need to have a cool head and loads of patience to get out if you find yourself in such tricky situations as well. The last point here is creativity and intuition. These might be considered as softer skills, but equally relevant when it comes to our industry. Whether you're planning a product launch or an event, creativity and intuition plays a very relevant role as such. So now that we have covered the strengths that makes us suitable for a role in PR, let's also look at what attracts us to this industry. Meanwhile, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. And when I'm sharing the attractions, maybe you will disagree to any of the points or not. I have put down these points based on my interaction with youngsters when I, when I take on interns or take on new joinees when they come in for interviews as such. So these points are based on that, when I talk to them and understand what they feel like. And but if you have a different point of view, please, feel free to voice it out, because you are the future communication professionals. 1 minute, let me just change the slide. Yeah, so some of these might be considered as misnomers, but are probably genuine reasons, because as I said, these are feedback from people that I have got. First is confidence in communication skills. Most of the young women joining the industry feel that they are more social than men and better at communicating, that they're better at listening, they're better at empathizing, etc. And hence feel that this is probably the right industry for them to join. The second one is, I think John Britos has also mentioned, during his talk about connections and networking and influence. So PR, generally has this thing about, we actually get connected to a lot of people. There's a lot of networking involved. With so much of emphasis on PR, especially in the last decade, and there is a tendency for people to get youngsters to get attracted to this field, especially when, at the time when influencers are ruling the entire social media field. It's probably very exciting, or, youngsters might feel very excited to get into this field. Third one is probably a little debatable, but yeah, it's a glamour quotient. It is influenced to a great extent by what we have seen in movies and entertainment industry as such. There is a certain amount of aura that is created around a PR person. There is also that perception that probably, when you get into that industry, you will have a chance to handle a celebrity or handle one of them at some point in their career. This might also be an attraction point for women, for youngsters to get into this field. Then there is the growth prospect and of course the money.
So in the glamour quotient, Salila, I would like to just share an example. So it is not far from truth. When in the first year of my profession, I managed a press conference with the then very, very big star called Jadeja. He was a cricket player and he was a heartthrob. And my entire, yes, Ajay Jadeja, and we had a press conference. And of course, since I was a part of the team, I got to interact with him, and it was very exciting. But what nobody knew was that the entire team, to make sure that everything goes right, we didn't sleep for the entire night. And so yeah, with the glamour part, the hard work also comes in. So
yeah, celebrities, politicians, etc. We'll need to actually have
they have a lot of tantrums, which is also a fact of life. So
right, sure.
So
Thank God the politician is no more here. I think he's left. So then we come on to the growth prospects and money. So as I was saying, from corporates to startups to celebrities to even political parties, as we all know, use PR as a tool to build their brand equity. So as he had pointed out, you need PR even in your own house. So it's an industry that is actually booming. It's it's got huge potential, and hence it's become very attractive for newcomers. There is also the potential to earn good money if you actually make it big. As I said, if you have the right attitude and hard work, nothing will stop you from reaching the top. I mean, you have instances where people have joined as PR professionals and probably become the top spokesperson of the company. Next is, the next point is also very related, is feeling of power and empowerment. More than power, more than money, some of them, get attracted to the power and empowerment. The industry offers an opportunity to hold very high-level corporate positions, and especially if you are planning a long-term career in PR, I think, this is another area where why youngsters get attracted to this field as such. Any questions now? I don't think, right?
Somebody had typed in, they want to ask the questions at the end. So.
Yeah, women are highly employed. Yeah, there is a question.
Yeah.
You want to take it now or you want to take it later?
We'll take it at the end, I think.
Okay. So, and we'll come back to your question later.
Yes.
Yeah. So now we come to the challenges, right? So maybe this will partly answer your question as well, Anne, when I go through this. So, despite our natural knack and the strengths that we have for PR, and also being very part of a very exciting industry with a lot of learnings and opportunities and never a dull day, there are some downsides as well. To be honest, as a woman, I mean, having spent, it's not 19 years, it's my 21st year in PR actually this year. I joined Perfect Relations in 2000 of May. So it's like 21 years got off. So as a woman, I have not faced any major challenge, either when I was working in an agency or, when I started out on my own in 2006. So of course, there are small minor issues that you might have, but I have not faced any major challenges such. So personally, I don't see gender being a deterrent in the PR industry. However, it's also important to acknowledge there are certainly some barriers that can hinder growth. It might be due to societal compulsions or probably also personal challenges as such. So let's look at some of the key challenges that women in PR, or for that matter, working in any of the communications industry, related communication industry, whether media, advertising, events, PR sectors face. One of the key ones is unpredictable working hours, or working on weekends and holidays. So one of the most common challenges that women face is that their schedules are unpredictable. So media, especially in today's time, as you all know, are work 24/7, and they expect the PR professionals to to be available to answer to the queries at any time. At very short notice, irrespective of whether it is a Sunday or holiday, etc. There are times when a journalist might call you at 7 p.m. on a Friday or on a Sunday because they would be filing a story and they would need some quote from your client, and they'll say we need it in about half an hour's time. So please let us know. And when I'm talking about crisis situations, it can happen anytime. It can be and one needs to be available for those situations, irrespective of whatever time it is as such. And as Nisha had mentioned earlier, today's media scene is booming so much that the social media scene is a deal breaker. It's so dynamic that one needs to constantly monitor for any negative coverage or comments, especially if it's a sensitive client. So if you are responsible for a client, there is no way that you can say that, it's a weekend and I can't look at it as such. And these are not situations that happen regularly, but it can happen and one needs to be prepared for it. If I have to give you an example, we handle this event called Bengaluru Midnight Marathon. We've been doing it for the last 5-6 years. And that happens, the event itself starts only 8 p.m. onwards, and the main event is at 12 at night. So the media sometimes wants to cover some news on the next day. So their deadline is about 9 o'clock, 9:30. So they wait for us at, before 9, we should send them some, at least the pre-events, the 5K or the fun run kind of thing that happens before a marathon. So they wait for us. So we finish that at 8 o'clock, 8:30, immediately sit there, write a release, take out pictures and then share it so that we catch the next day's newspapers as such. So these are things, and this mostly happens on the weekend. So Saturday and Sunday is like you are there till 6 a.m. in the morning on Sundays. And this happens. And I've had my, team crib sometimes, but end of the day, sometimes they all enjoy as well. Yeah. And so this might not be a challenge to everybody, but for those who have children or elderly parents or in-laws to take care, it might pose serious challenges where there is no fixed working hours as such. Right. So, and one of
the good news, I think, the good news there is that with the help of technology, you can do it from the comfort of your home also. So, of course, marathon is something that you require your presence in. But if on-ground events you can't help. So, because I remember, keep going back to earlier days, that you needed a fax machine to send something to the media,
right?
So you needed to be in office. Yes, right now all you need is your phone, really. So it's something that you have to be aware of, but there are also ways to manage it. So.
Yeah, so as I was telling Nisha the other day, I have to give you this example of, when I had started out initially on my own and I had taken this girl from Kolkata to be part of the team. The first time I asked her, stay after 6 p.m. in the evening because we had some important release to go out. She was like flabbergasted and she said, "Ma'am, how can you ask me to stay beyond 6 p.m.? It's against labor laws, and how can you ask a woman to stay? It's not right." And I was like zapped. I didn't know how to react as such. So the solution here, if I have to also, if we are discussing the challenge, it's only ideal that I also share, what can be the solution. I would say that understand the pros and cons when you join the industry. Have a discussion with the team head. Take up roles, after having a discussion if you have genuine challenges. Don't commit to a role and then back off or leave them in the lurch in between. Also, in today's time, workplaces have more inclusive, family-friendly policies and a more flexible work culture. So I think it's far better now than earlier days. The second point is work travels. For people like me who love traveling, actually it's a perk. However, this might pose a serious challenge for those who can't travel out of town due to various situations at home. One might be, expected to travel for important events like an IPO, product launch, press conferences, road shows. You might also be wanted to, accompany media during plant visits, or if you're handling a hospitality client, you might need to go with them for the resort experientials, etc. So these are responsibilities that come up when you take up senior roles, whether it is in an agency or whether you are a corporate communication professionals. So again, there are two parts to this. Personal reluctance to travel, as it can be intimidating for some of us to go to unknown places on your own sometimes. Or it could also be due to family challenges or pressures. They might not be comfortable with you traveling with unknown people as such, right? So Ian's question about why less women in leadership roles, these are probably self-imposed rules as well, which probably doesn't make you go all out there. And no, I'm not denying the fact that there are other reasons also. So the solution for this would be to, if you're personally not averse to traveling, you find a way to make the family understand that the growth in the career means working around these challenges and try to find a support system at home in your absence. And if you personally feel uncomfortable about travel, maybe take up short travels, the ones that you can go in the morning and come back, and try to find your comfort zone as such. And probably find a middle way, balance it. The third point is about stereotyping the role based on perceptions, societal pressures. I think, John had mentioned in the beginning about how journalists depicted in the earlier movies, which has changed a lot in today's world. But about PR industry and PR roles as such, there is a lot of perceptions that has been built over the years regarding what exactly does the scope of a PR professional entail. Even today, there are times when we will have to actually explain what a PR professional does in an agency. It's very difficult to make some people understand. So, and also the influence of movies and entertainment industry, there's a certain negative perception maybe about PR. Some feel that, we manufacture stories, if it's not factual, that we twist the truth around, that we try to influence the journalists using money, gifts, etc. So this is also probably one of the reasons some of the families hesitate to send their children into the communications industry, especially probably from smaller towns. A lot has changed. This perception has changed to a large extent in the last many years, but there is still some amount of challenge that youngsters might face from the society due to this wrong understanding of what PR is all about.
So if you don't mind, I would like to share my example. I come from a Marwadi community, which is a very, very conservative community. And the first time when I told my parents that I'm getting into PR, it wasn't taken very well, even though I was brought up in a very liberal environment, because the concept is really about that when you are in public relations, you have to do all sorts of things. Now, there is no definition of all sorts of things. It's just a perception. So these are some things that you have to be aware of, and maybe if just take it in your stride if you're convinced about being a part of this profession. So
yeah. So you try and address and clear the misconceptions by own personal experiences. And the workplace dynamics has also changed. So, as more and more women have joined this industry, a more respectful workplace culture has been developed, making this industry more attractive for women as such. So the last point under this that we have come is the fear. I've combined these 2 points: fear of sexual intimidation and social media trolling. As in every industry, there might be instances when you have maybe some clients or media making a pass at you, or the boss might intimidate you which can emotionally trouble us. Also, in today's social media world, nothing is hidden. I mean, anybody can go into your profile, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, and if they have a difference of opinion with you, they'll always find ways to troll you and break your spirit, especially if you're a very sensitive type. So there are numerous instances, probably you definitely would have come across in the last couple of years, when women have been mercilessly trolled, using her gender as a reason to be more abusive. And this can be very emotionally disturbing. There is also the recent spurt of Twitter posts against PR professionals. Some of the journalists take it off Twitter, or send them wrong pictures or extra. So this is some new trend that we have noticed. But there are also great journalists who actually give it back and realize that it's a job that it's a symbiotic relationship, the journalists and PR professionals. Also, since you represent the client, and in some cases you also take on the role of the spokesperson, you might be targeted and trolled for taking a stand on behalf of the company as such. I don't know if you remember the example of Anki Das, she was a policy head of Facebook. She resigned after numerous accusations against her for not pulling down hate messages on Facebook against a certain community. So irrespective of whether she was right in doing so or not, because she was a woman, there was an extra, reason for her to be targeted and trolled as such. So sharing these examples to just show that these are some of the challenges that we might face. However, once we accept that social media trolling will be very much part of our life, especially because we are in an industry which is in the public domain, we can easily try to overcome and stand strong. Also, ensure that any kind of sexual intimidation needs to be called out either directly or under the cover of social media. Use it to your advantage to call out predators. So that was some of the key challenges that women face in the industry. If you feel you need to add on in case I have missed on anything, please do. So now over to Nisha for the next slide.
So this is, we are in the next two slides. We are sharing examples of two great leaders, two well-known leaders. One who unfortunately we lost recently because of COVID, and the other one that we probably have all heard about, but from a more negative connotation. So the person that I'm talking about is Surekha. She, she has been in public relations she was a great public relations expert and was based out of Delhi. And what surprised me when after her unfortunate demise was the love and affection that very, very senior journalist came out and showed for her, which is quite unprecedented. Even if you have a good relationship with a journalist, they're never very public about it because everybody thinks, there are various ways of interpreting it. So what it teaches us is that what we were talking about what Salila spoke about, that empathy. And you need to understand that a journalist is also doing a job, and as much as we expect them to be nice to us, you have to understand what a journalist needs, what are his story pressures. I mean, for a journalist working in, let's say, a Financial Express, if a story is broken about a company or an exclusive is given in Economic Times, the journalist's day doesn't go well. He's reprimanded by almost everybody, his client, his seniors, his colleagues, and it's like and these things happen quite often. So as a PR professional, we have to make sure that we respect other people's boundaries, other people's needs, and when you are able to do that, when you are able to put in your best and empathize with the other side of the people that you're serving, people are going to appreciate your work and people are going to admire you for what you do, and it is not you will feel the gratification that you deserve, like Surekha, who I'm sure is smiling down at us from somewhere. So
yeah, the next one is just changing the slide. So let's talk about Neera Radia. I'm sure that most of them have heard about her. At least all the senior professionals here have heard about her.
Yeah.
So hers is a classic case of how great leaders can falter. Some of you, might have heard about the Radia tapes controversy that broke out in 2009, which was centered around the 2G spectrum case. It was probably the start of the corruption cases against the then ruling party Congress, which then built up and eventually led them to lose elections. So Neera Radia basically started out as an aviation consultant before she started the PR venture Vaishnavi Corporate Communications, backed by Ratan Tata himself, because she had worked with him earlier when he was trying to set up his aviation business. This was in the year 2001. So Ratan Tata actually gave her the mandate of 90 Tata Group companies, for a contract of 5 crores, is what I'm told, which is probably the biggest ever in the PR industry, right? I remember, like we had, when I was in Perfect Relations, we were handling Tanishq, which was a Tata Group company, and we didn't want to part with it. And after 1 year, we were forced to, give it away. I think in 2003 or 4, we were forced to give it away to Vaishnavi as such. She also got the, mandate for handling Reliance Industries in the year 2008. So at that point, she was probably the most powerful PR woman or PR person in India during those years, from 2001 to about 2009. Yeah. However, once the 2G spectrum case broke out, her integrity and reputation took a great fall for the compromises she made in brokering deals that were that were not completely ethical, because she was part of all the government lobbying as such. So she had to shut down Vaishnavi Communications in 2011, and she also quit corporate lobbying as such. So, as the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility too. The takeaway, the lesson that we learn is, when do you stop saying no to your client? The client might have various asks. Where do you draw the line between what is morally and ethically right versus what the client wants? So that's a question that each of us might have to answer to our own selves, money or reputation. So that choice is ours to make. So that's about the leaders that we wanted to share. So I think the last slide, Nisha will take over.
So to all the students, what we are really trying to really say is that yes, that public relations is an exciting sector to be in. There is a lot of growth because now in the last 10 years, in the last 20 years, like Salila said, that in itself, the sector has undergone a lot of change. There's a lot of responsibility that has increased, and it's no longer limited to just talking to the journalists or just trying to take press releases from one publication to the other. Technology is, and like in every other aspect of our life, it's helping us in many ways. It's making our job easier in approaching the journalists. It's making our life easier in getting the information. Like just to give you an example again, earlier to do a research about a company that, let's say, a new client that you joined in, you probably had to sit in the library for days to go through the old articles, go through the old news points that were discussed. Today, everything is available on fingertips. Plus, you can use AI technology to identify the right kind of journalists, to really plan your PR strategy in a way that's useful. Of course, and this will also answer your question. The salary and remuneration has increased as well, not just because the role has expanded, but also more and more people are realizing the strategic role that a communication person needs to play, and that in itself is increasing the opportunities that are available, not just for women but also for men. So congratulations for being a part of the communication, for studying communication. Trust us on it is a very exciting career choice, and the barriers are not something that you cannot not overcome. So we would love to answer your questions. So should I start with Salila? I'll answer Anne's question. So Anne, I think what we are really seeing is that, like I said earlier, that communication per se never got the kind of attention that it's getting now in the last 10 years, especially in India. So there was always a communication department in a company, but probably it was always considered a support role. Like IT was considered a support role till the time fintech companies and many such technology companies became, where technology first approach started coming. So communication has changed. People now have board in Procter and Gamble, for example. It was only 5 years back that a board seat was allotted to the communication expert. So that has got nothing to do with just women or men. In general, it's the importance. As we see the role increasing in strategy, the more opportunities will come in. There are lots of women in agencies, in also in the corporate world who are leading it. So, for example, the Birlas always had a very very dynamic lady. RBI. I'm taking more of the finance industry because I've been associated with the finance industry. So RBI communication was led by is still being led by a lady. So yeah, I don't think there's a dearth of opportunities or leadership roles. If the communication sector is, if the communication department is giving its importance, then I think women have a fair chance.
Yeah, and I feel that there is that, as I was mentioning, there is a self-imposed thing that maybe with senior roles there is a greater responsibility, and some of them might be genuinely not able to take that kind of a responsibility because they are handling multiple roles at home as well. So they might probably take a smaller backseat, themselves. Anybody else, or Ram, should we close it? Or yeah, she has one more question, I think.
Yeah, sure. So this is what we say when it comes to saying no to the companies. So I'll give you a recent example of one of my clients who was talking about the fact that we will talk about this issue in the press, and all that they are doing right now is they have just started thinking about expanding their team and have asked the recruiters. Now it's up to you really to educate the client that at the end of the day, the media is going to remember what you spoke to me this year, and will ask you for more questions, and when they ask you for data on how many LGB people that you have, and you will fall flat. So that's something that you have to handle client by client, and it's not just a matter of this. It could be about anything. During COVID, when after Borosil announced its employee benefit plan, suddenly there was a whole host of news about companies announcing. Now we don't know how many of those benefits that were announced were really right or no. And as a responsible communication person, you have a right to ask those questions, and you should ask those questions, because many of those things die down just when you ask the second question of how is it going to be supported. So
right, yeah. So it's not only this topic; it can be anything. I mean, it can be because any topical thing, and everybody wants to pile on and make as much knowledge about it as such. So if you're genuinely, I think there is a rule now that 2% of your profits is to be given to, on charity or like some NGO thing. There is a rule, I think. So people randomly choose NGOs to support, and then they need coverage for that, right? So you as a communication professional should be in a thing to actually advise them that you need to have some synergy with what you're doing. Yeah. Right? When you are giving out a message, for us, we need to go to the media to talk about that. So we need to actually connect what you're doing, trying to do, along with, the message. So it becomes your responsibility as well. But then, there are times when clients don't listen to us. So that's a different thing altogether. Yeah. Right.
So I just wanted to end with one point that Ram had raised earlier, is that are there more opportunities in bigger towns like Bangalore and Bombay, where I am based? And that definitely will automatically happen, because the number of companies, whether it's a startup or large corporates that have head offices, are more. So yes, I mean, opportunities will definitely be in larger towns, and for a profession like this, it would help if you take a few years of experience in a city, in a larger city, and then perhaps you can start on your own in anywhere. So
yep, thank you.
Well, I think it's a great presentation, Sarila and Nisha. As any more questions from the students? If not, okay, let's all thank and then move on to the next in the agenda.
Yeah.
Sure.
So then I will stop.
Yeah, stop the.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for.
Thank you.
Really hope that we made some help you in understanding the sector more. So.
Also, if there are more questions, I think we can send the questions to Nisha as well as Salila, and they can send their answers to us.
Yes, anytime. We would love to answer that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really a wonderful and inspiring session. It was so informative. Thanks for your words. I hope there are no more queries left. If there are any queries, you can type it in the chat box. So let us move on with our session. Srimadi Praveen is a founding member and strategic planner at Jeevan Vashtam, a community water treatment organization which holds the pride for setting up over 600 pure water kiosks in Karnataka. She is a professional counselor and an initiator, founding member and director of Vistara Kids Club, which focuses on societal upliftment. Unfortunately, she couldn't join with us today. She conveyed best wishes for our future ventures with YCC. Thank you so much, ma'am.
She was there, but unfortunately, she had to attend another meeting at the. Yeah, she had to leave at 12:30.
She expressed her apologies.
Now,
but at the same time,
let us
send the wishes to Jimmy has sent the best wishes to the St. Mary's College Young Communicators Club, and in the coming days, we will be communicating to the members of YCC.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, let us see a video which conveys best wishes for our future ventures with YCC.
Hi everyone, I am Alan Joseph, Director, SS School of Communication, and I am really happy to know that the very strong mission is unique as the champion of YCC and communities. As part of the organization, we ask you, we undertake some organizations and the organizations on students and the team St.Mary College. I have also been principal St. Actually happy to be from St. Mary's College. Young communicators. I
Humble pronouns. I am Dr. Shoma, Director of University and Dean, Faculty of Arts, Media and Arts of St.Mary. I am happy that St.Mary's College is offering a young communicators club. My faculty team, faculty coordinator, our YCC members, and the students join me in welcoming the principal, faculty members, faculty coordinator, and the new YCC office members on this happy occasion. On the fraternity of YCCs.
Good morning. I'm Vinay Kumar, Principal, Arts, Commerce and Science. Extremely happy to know that St.Mary's College Mission is opening the chapter of Young Communicators Club in St.Mary's College Mission. Students, the faculty, the HOD, YCC members join me in congratulating St.Mary's College principal, students, HODs, and all the office members of YCC in inaugurating this chapter. Welcome to YCC Club. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Neera Radia, Principal of St.Mary. On behalf of my college, students, and the YCC team, I extend best wishes for success to St.Mary's College. We are attending YCC. Executives, principal, faculty, and the most members of YCC of St.Mary College. Welcome to the Untitled Chapter. Dr. Sister Principal, and happy to know that St. Mary's College is opening a young communicators. My faculty coordinator, our executives and our students join me to congratulate the principal, faculty members, faculty coordinator, and the new YCC office manager on this occasion. Welcome to the Academy of Excellence. Thank you.
That was indeed overwhelming. I sincerely thank Sri Babu Joseph sir, Dr. Lissy Matthew ma'am, Dr. Thomas George sir, Dr. U. Krishna Kumar, Dr. U. Krishna Kumar, Venugopal sir, and I'm so sorry that I missed out few names because of lack of strong network connectivity. But from the bottom of my heart, I sincerely thank everyone on behalf of our college for their wholehearted support and wishes. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place, once quoted George Bernard Shaw. Today, we are highly dependent on media for information. In this context, it is important that the news circulated should be free from misinformations. Our blooming minds are here with a video about relevance of effective communication. Let us have a look at it.
Misinformation can cause discovered is and share knowledge. Verify sources before sharing. Most share misinformation and accurate facts. Communication is the key. We, as communicators, pledge to fight misinformation. Together, we can fight misinformation with facts.
Now, let us listen to our office bearers and their insights about PRCI and YCC.
Greetings to all. Communication is one of the important tools that aid us to connect with people. Either you are a student or a professional, good communication will connect you far ahead. Proper communication can help you to solve a number of issues and resolve problems. And this is the reason that one must know how to communicate well. Here, the PRCI, Press Council of India, a pan-India communication exchange forum, extends their hands towards the young media aspirants to mold them as good communicators. Through its youth wing, Young Communicators Club, that is YCC, I, Abhini PK, Faculty Coordinator, YCC St.Mary's College, would like to thank PRCI for giving us this opportunity. And I'm sure that this will be a great support to our students for getting a chance to meet many maestros in the field of mass media and communication. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. And here we have the leaders of YCC St. Mary's College. And let me introduce you to our student coordinators. Over to the video.
Now, let's move to the oath taking ceremony. U.S. Kuti, the National Secretary General of Public Relations Council of India. He is a PR and advertising professional with 40 years of illustrious career beginning with Saubhagya Advertising in Mumbai. He has organized 800 plus press organization and state government. He is one of the founder of Kochi Advertising Club and trustee of prestigious Pepper Awards. Sir, I welcome you for the oath taking ceremony.
I'm audible. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I'm audible.
Yes,
Hello.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good very good afternoon to everyone. Chief guest of the day, Mr. John Britas and Jairam ji, and all the college dignitaries, and also all our stalwarts of PRCA across India, and the speakers of the day, Nisha Ketan and Salila Kapan. It was a real happiness for all of us that this is the 11th chapter which we will be opening in Kerala, YCC. So thanks to one and all who has made this happen. So now I will read the oath and you can all repeat. As the member of the
As a member of the
PRCA YCC St. Mary's College chapter,
PRC and YCC St. Mary's College chapter,
affirm that
affirm that
I shall abide by the
I shall abide by the
principle and philosophy of the
principle and philosophy of the
Public Relations Council of India
Public Relations Council of India
for Young Communicators Club.
for Young Communicators Club.
I further swear to faithfully discharge my duties as the member of PRCI YCC St. Mary's College chapter
PRCI YCC St. Mary's College chapter
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Student, there are empty number of opportunities after given the speech by Nisha as well as Shalila. there are empty number of opportunities awaiting all of youngsters. So be in advertising or be in PR or be in digital, because you have to keep your eyes open. Also, you have to have a strategy and the idea, because now that is what required for any kind of youngsters coming in this field. So I am sure if you are putting your right strategy and the idea and the content, and you can, sky is the limit, and as well as we can great higher heights. So I wish all the YCC and all the students a very, very happy occasion, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. Now, I would like to invite our beloved head of the English department, Dr. Bindu and Philip, for the felicitation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected dignitaries from all over the nation, our Mother Provincial, Sister Anija CMC, our Principal, Sister Dr. Maggie Jose, Chief Guest of the Day, Sri John Britas, my dear colleagues and beloved students. Though the whole world is down with the pandemic, human beings are trying hard not to yield, but to cope with the new normal. That indeed is our strength. We learn lessons from the new situations and we never give up. This could be the best lesson my students can also learn from what is happening around right now. With the usual vigor we keep at St. Mary's College, we the St. Marians are trying to reach the best with what we have at hand. That's why we try today to join hands with PRCI, Public Relations Council of India. With the inauguration of Young Communicators Club at our college, we open the new windows of opportunities to our students to interact with experts in the field and to keep themselves updated. I know we've heard from the experts all in all about the complete activities of PRCI, so I'm not taking much of your time repeating the same. I, as the head of the Department of English, wish all the club members the very best in all the activities they are going to be engaged in, and congratulate the delegates of PRCI for their committed service towards St. Mary's College. A big thank you to Ramsar for initiating this program. I also congratulate the coordinator of the program, Ms. Abhini PK. Thank you, everyone. You all stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I request Ms. Durga Chakyat of English Department to propose the vote of thanks.
I deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all of those whose presence and help made this event a great success. I would like to offer a profound gratitude to our Chief Guest Sri John Vitas, MP and Managing Director of KIB team. And also a great gratitude to our Honorable Guest of Honor, Mr. N.B. Jairao, Chairman of Emeritus and Member of PRCI, Mr. Sam Duraraj Rubin, Director and Governing Council of PRCI, Dr. T. Vinay Kumar, National President of PRCI, Mr. U.S. National Secretary General of PRCI, Ms. Srimadi Praveen, National Head of YCC. I would like to express my extreme gratitude to Mr. Ram C. Menon, Director of PRCI YCC, for his guidance and help, which made this event a success. I would like to thank our principal, Sister Angela, Provincial Corporate Manager, Sister Angela, Provincial Corporate Manager of CMC Polari, for the presence and blessings for this event. I would like to especially thank our teachers, Ms. Nisha Ketan, partner of Civic Communications, and Ms. Shalila Kapan, founder of Red Communication, for their insightful inputs. Also, thank Dr. Bindu and Philip, HOD, Department of English, for her support. And a very special thanks to Abhini ma'am, who coordinated this whole event and without whom the event wouldn't have been possible. And at last, I would like to thank all of you who attended this event and made this a success. Also, a special thanks to Jyotiraj sir and Ranjit sir
Thank
for
you.
their
Thank you very much.
guidance, without which the event wouldn't have been possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, before we wind up, let me share a few thoughts. I would like to acknowledge a few names here. First, Anjali, we actually connected me to ma'am, and where the procedure also of starting the YCC in King's College was on. And also, I acknowledge the contribution of Mr. Who has actually compiled and developed the video of the distribution video of the principles of various YCC chapters. And also, in fact, I acknowledge the presence of a lot of senior people, right from Mr. Cleveland to Sumit to Mr. Jagat, and also Mr. Andy, one of Manorama, and Ravisha and Abarna, both of you have done a good job of comparing the whole event. And thank you so much to all my PRCI team, right from Jairamji to Vinay, and to all all the students who are here. I think still in fact I'm looking at close to 60 are the numbers, and it's almost 3 hours since we started the program. And thank you so much for the students and to the entire people who are actually in the formation of YCC and for this particular function. A big thank you to Abhini ma'am, who is actually the one who is actually my contact point in St. Mary's on the YCC platform, and she's the one who actually in and out all the procedures and all the steps. And thank you, ma'am, to start with. And thanks to everyone. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry, and I think my gratitude to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we conclude this one now? Ramji?
Yes, please carry on. Thank you very much. All the best. It was wonderful. Next time onwards, kindly see the timings, because we all people are busy with one or the other work. We don't have time more than 1 hour. We keep it. If it extends more than 3 hours, it will be very. We wanted very much to be there, but unfortunately, our works, we have some constraints. So kindly make it a point. All guest lectures you can keep it later, because since now it is webinars, you can have it anytime, any number of webinars we can have, we can organize that. Inauguration, you please keep it for inauguration only, and one guest speaker will speak on the subject, and college will tell about them and all that. Precisely 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes. Not more than that, because for that reason she felt bad going back, because it was interesting. Unfortunately, she had to attend another government meeting. She asked the apology with you all and left. It should not happen. YCC had it herself not to be in the team. She was there, of course, till 12. Then she had to leave. Such not for this is over now. In future, this thing we can have number of programs. You call us, we will definitely be there. Thank you so much. It was a nice experience in Thrissur. Again, I am remembering my old visits and all that. You made me to sit for that reason at least. I am remembering Thrissur again. Thank you so much for all students and esteemed members of the college and esteemed principal, everyone. Thank you so much. It was excellent. Thank you.
Let's conclude now. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, everyone. So we have officially come to the end of the meeting. Thank you so much for joining us.